Jewish noises!
We are going to be doing some reading and discussing today. We got Friedrich Nietzsche's Beyond Good and Evil. We're going to be starting with the preface, and we have different translations, so this will be interesting. Because I think mine's probably a much newer edition since I bought it like a year or two ago.
Well, mine's like basically a pretty new version of it too.
Gotcha. But you go first, I suppose, and then I'll pick up when you want to move on, and we'll give any thoughts we have, right?
Yeah, alrighty.
And I'm also going to be playing Fallout 3 in the background, because Fallout 3 and philosophy and politics all just kind of go together to me.
Sure.
And also I wanted good visuals, instead of just having to throw up a ton of pictures.
Fallout 3 fits my philosophy.
And mine.
Well, should I just start reading then?
Sure, let's just jump in. We're just doing the preface, we're not doing any of the introduction or translator's notes or any of that shit.
Yeah, because ours are different anyway.
Yeah.
Supposing that truth is a woman, what then? Is there not ground for suspecting that all philosophers, insofar as they have been dogmatists, have failed to understand women, that the terrible seriousness and clumsy importunity with which they have usually paid their addresses to truth have been unskilled and unseemly methods for winning a woman? Certainly, she has never allowed herself to be won, and at present every kind of dogma stands with sad and discouraged mind. If indeed it stands at all, for there are scoffers who maintain that it has fallen, that all dogma lies on the ground, nay more that it is at its last gasp. But to speak seriously, there are good grounds for hoping that all dogmatizing in philosophy, whatever solemn, whatever conclusive and decided airs it has assumed, may have been only a noble puerilism and tyrannism, and probably the time is at hand when it will be once and again understood what has actually sufficed for the basis of such imposing and absolute philosophical edifices as the dogmatists have hitherto reared. Perhaps some popular superstition of immemorial time, such as the soul superstition, which, in the form of subject and ego superstition, has not yet ceased doing mischief. Perhaps some play upon words, a deception on the part of grammar, or an audacious generalization of very restricted, very personal, very human, all too human facts. The philosophy of the dogmatists, it is to be hoped, was only a promise for thousands of years afterwards, as was astrology in still earlier times, in the service of which probably more labor, gold, acuteness, and patience have been spent than on any actual science hitherto. We owe to it and to its super-terrestrial pretensions in Asia and Egypt the grand style of architecture. It seems that in order to inscribe themselves upon the heart of humanity with everlasting claims, all great things have first to wander about the earth as enormous and awe-inspiring caricatures.
Hold on, Corbin. So, interestingly, a lot of the wording is very different, but the thing you just read, I think, is really interesting what it says in mine instead.
Yeah?
It's instead of it says, it seems that in order to inscribe themselves in the hearts of humanity with eternal demands, all great things have to first wander the earth as monstrous and fear-inspiring grotesques.
Huh. Yours sounds better. Dogmatic philosophy has been a caricature of this kind. For instance, the Vedanta, I don't know what that...
I think it's Vedanta.
Vedanta doctrine in Asia and Platonism in Europe. Let us not be ungrateful to it, although it must certainly be confessed that the worst, the most tiresome, and the most dangerous of errors hitherto has been a dogmatist error, namely Plato's invention of pure spirit and the good in itself, which I think is I disagree with his views on Plato's concept of good, because I think Plato's concept of good is actually good. Like, I think Plato had it down pretty well, and actually Plato's idea of good is what inspired, like, the New Testament's idea of good.
Uh-huh.
Like, the idea that what is good is just the betterment of all mankind, and that, like, and that we should strive to want to better all men. But now, when it has been surmounted, when Europe, rid of this nightmare, can again draw breath freely, and at least enjoy a healthier sleep, we whose duty is wakefulness itself are the heirs of all the strength which the struggle against this error has fostered. It amounted to the very inversion of truth and the denial of the perspective, the fundamental condition of life, to speak of spirit and the good as Plato spoke of them. Indeed, one might ask, as a physician, how did such a malady attack that finest product of antiquity, Plato? Had the wicked Socrates really corrupted him? The wicked Socrates? Was Socrates, after all, a corrupter of youths? I mean, kinda he was.
Yeah, but, like, also, it's interesting that there are theories that Socrates did not exist and was really like a metaphor or like a character made up by Plato to exemplify something for him to argue against.
Yeah, but but obviously I don't know like what the truth is about that. Like, Greek history is actually like really like it's really
spotty,
speculative, like because it's hard to pinpoint when a lot of those writings happened, and it's possible that Aristotle and Plato's writings are like actually just way later than Socrates and Diogenes and like a lot of the other ones existed, and that they were actually later writers that just inserted themselves into like older time periods.
Right.
Had the wicked Socrates really also like I think a lot of people that are like really interested in Plato and Socrates usually don't have like a very like well-adjusted concept of reality like people that are interested in Aristotle do. Like, I think Diogenes and Aristotle are like the ones I prefer over Plato and Socrates. Was Socrates, after all, a corrupter of youths and deserved his hemlock, but the struggle against Plato, or, to speak plainer and for the people, the struggle against the ecclesiastical, okay, oppression of millenniums of Christianity. For Christianity is Platonism for the people.
By the way, Corbin, like, so most of the differences in mine are just like a few different wordings, right? Like, instead of saying the vendetta doctrine, it says the doctrine of vendetta in mine. So most of it's stuff like that, which is why I really haven't been bringing it up. But if it's like really different, I'll let you know.
Produced in Europe a magnificent tension of soul such as had not existed anywhere previously. With such a tensely strained bow, one can now aim at the furthest goals. As a matter of fact, the European feels this tension as a state of distress, and twice attempts have been made in grand style to unbend the bow. What's by means of Jesuitism? Is that how you...
Yeah.
Jesuit. Okay. And the second time by means of democratic enlightenment, which with the aid of liberty of the press and newspaper reading might in fact bring it about that the spirit would not so easily find itself in distress. The Germans invented gunpowder, all credit to them, but they again made things square.
Didn't the Chinese invent gunpowder?
I have no idea. It'd be funny if they did, and then the Germans are just like, no, we did it.
No, I'm basically certain. Hold on. Who invented gunpowder?
I mean, it could just be...
Chinese monks. Chinese monks created gunpowder.
So the Germans are just taking credit for it then, I guess?
Oh, no, are they black nationalists now?
Well, I mean, you know that Nietzsche, like, greatly appeals to white nationalists, so...
Yeah.
Like, it literally inspired a large part of the Nazi movement. But we who are neither Jesuits nor Democrats nor even sufficiently Germans, we good Europeans and free, very free spirits. Gee, I wonder why this appeals to white nationalists. We have still all the distress of spirit and all the tension of its bow, bebo, bop, bop, and perhaps also and perhaps also the arrow, the duty, and bow, arrow. So
bow.
The duty. And
yeah, sorry, I wasn't actually following along with you there. Otherwise, I would have very clearly been able to tell you that.
The goal to aim at. Okay, I guess that was the end.
Someone by the name of Rabid Waffles, who I actually know about because I did a video responding to one of their videos 2 years back, which we will explain later. They comment, Valerie Flowers is the best YouTuber. I'm his biggest fan. He really entertains me with his videos. What a guy.
Hilarious and original. Hilarious and original. Hilarious and original. Hilarious and original.